Good afternoon to you all. I would like to welcome our esteemed speakers, dear friends and who are dear friends and colleagues, and also our valued participants. We are having our members of our parliament. I would like to recognize the presence of Excellency MP Ayesh. Welcome to this second webinar organized by the Center for Accelerating CAWE was established in 2004 as a trade promotion membership organization for women in export, which is one of the leading pioneer organizations operating in the country. And we provide different kinds of support services to our member sectors. Agribusiness, the major one, where we have women coffee, including honey, fruit, spices, milk, and milk products. We also have the second sector, textiles, garment, and hand weaving. The third one, leather. The fourth sector, gemstones and jewelry. And the fifth one, services that includes tourism, hospitality, construction, consultancy, and others. Organizing such kinds of experience sharing platforms is one of our activities. Starting August, we're working in organizing series of webinars, where last month in August 21, 2020, our theme for discussion was existing support for small and medium enterprise in responding to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, with a focus to women in business in Ethiopia. So this event really went very well. On the second web, experiences of women in small and medium enterprise in Ghana, Kenya, Rwanda, South Africa in overcoming the COVID-19 pandemic. In this webinar, our speakers are from 4 African countries. In briefly introducing them, the first speaker, B. Hakula from South Africa. B is the founder of Africa Women. She's a globally respected leader, strategist, and public speaker. B has successfully initiated the establishment of a women's cooperative bank with representation of women across South Africa. I'm glad our famous Nat Bank has played major role in sharing its best practices on that. CAWE has signed MOU with Africa for Africa Women to facilitate the business relationship of members of our 2 organizations. So this is B. Coming back to Zora from Kenya. Zora is the founder and managing director of Mohabo Export and Import Company, a Kenyan company which was operational since late 80s. Zora manages several producer groups and micro enterprise at grassroots level, which her company facilitates market linkage. Zora is the chairperson of the African Women Entrepreneurship Program AWEP Kenya chapter and chairperson of the AWEP East Africa region, which consists of 12 African countries. The African Women Entrepreneurship Program AWEP, for those of you who might not know, is one of the leading Continental association initiated in 2010 by the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, which was designed to support African women entrepreneurs to benefit from the provisions of AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunity Act. Now I come to Gloria from Rwanda, who will be our third speaker. Gloria is the founder and CEO of Glow Creations, textile design and printing company, specialized in creating African-inspired quality patterns for garments and home interior. Combined with a strong aptitude for business, Gloria has a real passion, dedication, and determination for traditional printing techniques, focusing on contemporary designs. Gloria is the chairperson of the AWEP Rwanda chapter. Last but not least is Comfort from Ghana. Comfort is the founder and CEO of El Ageb Company, 23 years in operation, involved in shea butter and local beads jewelry production and export. Comfort has rich expertise in livelihoods and in markets and women's and girls' education and youth employment skills. She is the founding member of in the past chair of the AWEP Ghana chapter, and this time Comfort is AWEP West Africa region chairperson, which consists of 13 West African countries. As introduced, our speakers will focus on the following issue areas while they're sharing their experiences. One, introducing their respective companies and their networks and associations that they are leading, sharing the provisions given by their respective governments to cope up with the COVID pandemic with the focus to women in business, the challenges faced and the strategies used to overcome the challenges that their companies and their members faced because of the COVID pandemic. Beyond the challenge, we expect also them to speak and share us the positive things we can learn, capitalize from COVID pandemic. They will as well briefly tell us their respective advice for the way forward. So each speaker will have 15 minutes maximum, where the presentation flow will be starting from South Africa, then Kenya, then Rwanda, and finally Ghana. We now start with South Africa. B. Hakula, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Nikis, and good afternoon to my fellow colleagues, presenters, and everyone else who's watching on YouTube on this very important webinar. My name is B. Hakula. I'm president of Africa for Africa Women Empowerment, whose vision is to unite women throughout the continent for sustainable growth and development. And we focus in two areas on leadership development and promotion of entrepreneurship. And on entrepreneurship, it's we assist on economic development initiatives. One is one that Nikis has actually spoken about, which is really a success story for us. We benchmarked in 3 countries, including Ethiopia, and the Inet Bank model. We found it the best because it was driven by women and owned by women. So it was for us the best model that we could actually benchmark on. We're pleased to say that now our cooperative bank is fully licensed by the Reserve Bank of South Africa. The second one, which is also looking at empowerment of women, recently last month, month of August, we launched Asset, which is a women empowerment magazine, which gives words of wisdom, as also showcase women that have been there. We're also looking at mentorship programs that we can share. It's an online magazine. Can check it. I will share on the chat how to access that magazine. And we focus in 4 areas which we think they're very important for the continent, which is the agriculture, because Africa has to feed itself. Second one is tourism and hospitality. The fourth is on oceans economy, because we're part of the Indian Ocean, the IORA, as South Africa. And then finance and ICT, which I think it's very important now if we talk ICT at the moment. We also do leadership development, coaching, and mentorship. We run a series of power sessions weekly where we look at issues of leadership. So that is that. Then we host international conferences where we do trade fairs. Karen will be playing a role in the Rwanda one, working with Malawi. So this is an area that we think that the countries that are here, we can engage and see how we can work together in real terms. Let me come to the challenges that have been experienced by women during this time. The pandemic actually affected mostly the small enterprises, small, medium enterprises, and this is the space where women are. And therefore it has affected women mostly because there's very little application of technology in most businesses that are run by women. That is the first thing. Secondly, they've got minimal resources and staff. So most of them, they operate as individuals, and it's very difficult, hard hit when they have to look after their families and also run the business. So they have been affected in that regard. And also the issue of systems, I think, is one of the things that we found that some of the women, they don't have appropriate systems to actually manage their businesses remotely. I think this is a lesson as well. It was a challenge. Now, in South Africa, we've been privileged with a responsive approach from our leadership, starting with the president, where there was a very clear and determined focus in terms of making sure that there are protocols that are followed to support businesses, especially small enterprises, in terms with the grants and also debt relief policies that dealt with your banks and their creditors. And the other area is that with all the development agencies in the country, there were programs, and there still are programs that were looking and say, how do you support the small enterprises, and also looking beyond COVID-19. Like currently, there has been release of a clear program of action in terms of how the small enterprises can be supported and to rebuild the economy of the country. And it is very important because this is where the most jobs can be created with the small enterprises, because it's easy to automate when you're looking at the big corporates and they reach a ceiling at a certain point to recruit and get more people on. But if we're looking at changing the economic outlook of the continent, I think this is the area that we need to focus on and have and build the small enterprises. And women, they are very industrious, but I think from the point understanding the business principles, I think this is where they're actually found wanting, because some of them, they could not participate in these grants because there was certain documentation that was required in terms of compliance, your tax compliance, your issues of UIF and the like. So because of non-compliance, some of them, they couldn't benefit out of that process. So I think this is a lesson from the COVID-19 that says, whether you're running a one person show as a business, you need to have systems in place and administrative processes that you are able to build on an account in terms of running your operations. And then the other lesson that I think it's a very important one from the point of connectivity, and I'm actually pleased that we are in that space as well, because we've always been using the online platforms, but I think it is important that we intensify the use of ICT. And this is an area that women, they're very scared in terms of using the technology. You give them the link, they can't even, they're scared to even click and be able to navigate. I think this is one area where we could actually look at a possibility of having a program around women in ICT. Coming to the way forward. Yes, we are different organizations. I think the issue of us cooperating is very important. It shouldn't be just in the paper. I'll just use an example. What we did as Africa for Africa Women Empowerment. During the advent of COVID-19, we established Women of Africa Arise, which is open to all women's organizations and individual women's businesses throughout the continent. Currently, we have over 120 women as part of that forum. And precisely because if we want to operate and integrate the continent, the African continent, we need to establish our areas of synergies. And by that, I mean, in my country, I work with organizations that are operating in South Africa. But beyond that, I work with other organizations that are outside the continent. And hence, I'm talking about these women that are part of our forum, which is Women of Africa Arise, whilst I'm running Africa for Africa. These are the things that we need to be open-minded about them and be able to support one another and find synergies where we can actually cooperate. We need to identify, for instance, Ethiopia is very strong on leather and jewelry. This is one area that you can, Kawi would be able to champion. But when I say champion, it is important that we understand exactly how we integrate and looking at exporting internationally, so that we plug in and we are able to, each country will celebrate the beauty of Africa through the arts, textile, art, and beauty. That is a sector on its own, which ourselves is one of the sectors we're looking at, but we acknowledge who is strong in what. Ghana, we're looking at the textile. You know, if you look at textile, Ghana, they excel. So these are the kind of things that I believe that as small businesses, we need to be able to identify and organizations that support small enterprises. We need to find synergies, but we anchor a program in the country that is strongest in that sector. I think I should stop here and also be able to have an opportunity to respond to any engagements and any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, B, in sharing your best practice and as well as the experiences of your networks. Thank you so much. I don't have to go through your presentation to summarize because we need to have some time for questions and answers. Our second speaker will be Zora. I'm honored to invite Zora from Kenya. Zora, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Nigest. As you had explained before, my name is Zora Baraka. I am the managing director of Mohazo Eximpo, which is a home decor company that has existed for the last 33 years. We mostly deal in home decor, gift accessories, and fashion and gift packages. I'm putting my presentation on the screen, and apart from that, I also chair our Kenya chapter, and also, as you said, the our East Africa region. I also happen to sit in the board of Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, which is a government body under Ministry of Industrialization and Trade. And what I can say is that women, we are about 31% of business people in Kenya. And from the screen, you can see that 0.4 million Kenyans do not live up to their second birthday. And SMEs contribute to 3% of the gross GDP of the country as at 2017, of which 31.4% are women. You can see that in terms of distribution across the sectors, 84.5% is the service industry, 11.8 is in manufacturing, 3.3 is in agribusiness, and 0.5 is in the construction business. Now, as we all know, COVID has devastated the economy, and Kenya has not been left behind. So the government of Kenya has put in some measures. For example, washing of the hands, safe distancing, etc. There are some interventions that the government of Kenya has put in place, like reopening of suspended or closed fresh produce and livestock markets, which continued fumigation, sanitization, decongestion, and observation of social distancing among traders. The government has also expedited the procurement procedures from local MSMEs to fast-track procurement of COVID-related products and services. Like we get that masks are being produced mostly by the women of Kenya and the other PPEs. They've also developed flexible payment terms for tax obligations, among them suspension of turnover taxes to SMEs, and also postponing the filing deadlines for taxes. We have also been exempted from import duty for manufacturing SMEs so that they can also be able to produce products which are for COVID-19. We also have some challenges and mitigation strategies under Micro and Small Enterprises Authority and also government as a whole, because this is the ministry which is under trade, and therefore they thought there are quite a number of strategies that have to be put in place. For example, we have the challenge for liquidity, that is reducing operating costs, layoffs, closing additional branches and limiting production, diversifying to alternative complementary business models for cash flow. We also have limited access to markets, because we get that even some markets have already they were closed because of this safe distancing. So we are adapting to digital technology platforms to market trade and reach customers beyond the immediate borders. We also have the supply chain disruptions, where possible, businesses are sourcing more of their input materially and locally, as I said before. We also have loss of skilled labor, temporary pay cuts, or hiring freeze has helped some businesses to retain their best talent. On limited access to capital, SMEs are seeking alternative sources of financing, like banks are now reaching to people to give them loans at reduced rates. And then we also have some grants. There are also some positive lessons that we have learned from COVID-19. That is the increased use of technology, because we get that right now, people are able to even order for their products online from supermarkets, etc. We have also reduced trade barriers. We have reduced operational costs. You get that some of our AWEP members have even closed down offices so that they can cut down on costs. And if I can remember, there are some members who told me that they don't see why they should go back to offices, because right now they have become even more efficient working from their houses and reducing on costs. In fact, she said, I'm not seeing why I should employ 3 people when I can do all this work by myself. We also have expanded or adapted our business models, and we also have access to real-time data and analytics, that is the business tools. The big picture that the government of Kenya has is that we have this initiative called Kenya Vision 2030, which aims to transform Kenya into a newly industrializing middle-income country, providing a high quality of life to all its citizens by 2030. Then there is also Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, a campaign aimed at promoting local industries and fostering patriotism and preference for Kenyan goods and services as a means of supporting the domestic economy. The big 4 agenda. This comprises of food security, affordable housing, affordable healthcare, and manufacturing, which seeks to raise GDP contribution to 15% by 2020. There is the subcontracting policies, which, like the Ministry of Trade and Industrialization, is developing a subcontracting policy which will govern contractual arrangements between large companies that source goods for their finished products and smaller local companies that supply them. We have AGPO, which is access to government procurement opportunities. And this is a program that will facilitate youth, women, persons with disability owned enterprises to be able to participate in government procurement policies. We have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, which was an agreement which was brokered by the African Union and signed by 48 countries. And the idea, it required members to remove tariffs from 90% of goods, allowing free access to commodities, goods, and services across the continent. And we happen to be lucky. MCEA is going to run the MSC fund, which was started, and it is it is going to offer guarantees to business people, MSCs, so that they can be able to finance, research, develop, and create more innovation for their companies. Now, the challenges that we have had as women, and I am not left behind, is that we have lost some of our employees, or those who remained had to take pay cuts. Some of our women have had cash flow management problems, in the sense that they have not been able to do their accounts because they're used to employing the accountants, marketing guys, etc. Now they have been forced to start doing the work by themselves. It has also been tough for them managing remote employees, because this is so tricky, because you are not seeing them and knowing what they are doing. So we have had strategies that we have also had exports going down to zero according to the scale. We have markets which have closed down, and for me, who has been in the export business, we've never seen this before, because many chain stores have been affected, and mostly in the US, and this has reduced their rate of purchase. We have positive changes, positive progress, in the sense that apart from what the government has done, as women, we have also tried to see how, as AWEP, how we are training them in marketing. We have been having virtual conferencing, and we've also been having virtual conference exhibitions. So what we need to do is that on the what it is on the positive changes, in a bid to fight the disease, every small Kenyan, from shopkeepers to mobile money, grain, and tailoring stores, we have taken measures to curb COVID-19. Now, the way forward that I would advise, that we are doing here as a sector or stakeholders, the financial to alleviate financing gaps, African governments need to collaborate with financial institutions to expand access to credit service for MSCs, especially those who are women-run. And the emphasis is on lending basis on collateral, because not all the women have collateral before they take these loans. These loans are very expensive. The time for due diligence takes almost forever, and you get that it becomes very expensive and not worth it. So instead, we need to have creative strategies to sensitize also the small businesses. On policy, the governments need to ease, harmonize cross-border trading regulatory requirements to ease movements of goods, and women-run businesses can access critical business development services such as capacity building, business advisory, and incubation support, which MSEA is trying to champion back home here. And then also governments need to offer additional support and services for marginalized SMEs, participants, and emphasis here for me is support for women and disadvantaged groups such as the people living with disabilities. And lastly, on innovation, what I can say is that we can now not do anything without innovation, because it is innovation, innovation, innovation. So that as my sister from South Africa says, women are scared of using innovation, but we have to embrace innovation in terms of how we do our day-to-day work and way forward. Now, my call for action today is, as women, we have to work together. And my parting shot is catalyzing women-led SMEs recovery during COVID-19 and growth for job and wealth creation. But we have to wait for the curve to flatten for economy to reopen fully. Now, one thing I would like to say is that as Mohazo, we saw how the artisans have been suffering, and therefore we have decided to tell them, to build a web platform, which I call the Uberization of the handicraft sector, in the sense that we are going to connect the artisans and the buyers out there. Thank you so much for my presentation, for listening to me.
Thank you, Zora. Thank you so much, and also closing your presentation with the call to action. Thank you very much, appreciated. I will now go to invite Gloria. An honor for me, Gloria, inviting you, Gloria from Rwanda, to speak to us. Gloria, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you, dear guest. Good afternoon to you all. As dear guest said, my name is Gloria Kamanzi Uwizera. I have a number of hats that I have on me. I will start with the business I run, which is called Glow Creations. We are a textile printing company. We are based here in Rwanda, and the business has been for existence of more than 10 years. It's a new industry that I started in. So we deal with adding value on textile with printing techniques. What we do out of the printed fabrics, we've been creating a line of clothing, a line of home accessories. So that's the business I've been into. And recently I even added working with a carpet factory whereby we have customized carpets with our African-inspired patterns. And the second hat I have is I'm the chairperson of AWEP Rwanda, which is a network of women entrepreneurs. In Rwanda, we have a number of women entrepreneurs networks, but as our chapter, we focus more on the export part. We noticed a number of gaps. So what we do is more of supporting our members by accessing to capacity buildings, to capacity in different areas, as we have women who are in different sectors. Another thing which I would say, we even link them to markets, things like that. And I have another hat whereby I play a role in the Women Entrepreneurs Chamber of Rwanda. I'm part of the board, and I head the art and craft sector. So those are the hats I have on me. So I'm going just to share what affected by this pandemic. I would say the challenges are numerous, and I would say the challenges that my sisters shared, it's almost the same, but I'm going just to shutting down for a period of time, being in a lockdown, we could not operate, we could not have access to our workplaces, and we found ourselves making no revenues. Our turnovers went so really down, and I speak on behalf of all our members. So we found ourselves with those challenges, and as we were not able to make income, so supporting our employees, supporting our operations, even though the rent are still, the rent fees kept on being counting, but I would say the government sort of called upon landlords to sort of help business people to understand the crisis. And another thing which I would say that this pandemic has caused, we were limited to a number of facilities. When we talk of, yes, we are not making money, but we can't access to more capital, and we found ourselves with more expenses, things like that. I'm going to sort of share what the government of Rwanda did. I would say as we were resuming our work, our operations, the government of Rwanda worked with people, including us, whereby they had to set up a number of measures for economic recovery plan. So which there was one of them that they had to set up a fund to support SMEs, to support companies that were heavily affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. So, and the way it's been given, the fact that we are all finding ourselves in networks, so that's how the government had to disperse the grants. So we have some of our members who benefited some of the support, and on the other side, the government called upon business development institutions to come up with trainings to help our members to how do they overcome the challenges they are facing, how are they reviewing the operations. I heard Zora saying that there are those who had to close offices. For our case, it was not really quite the same, but we had to maintain our work spaces, and the government with the fund they availed was to help us to keep jobs so that we do not reduce the number of people that work with us. And we had to sort of kind of reduce the salaries, things like that. And another thing which the government did, which was really very supportive, we pay taxes. So we could not really pay taxes on time. I remember when we were during the lockdown, we're supposed to pay our yearly tax, but we were given more time. And then we were even, we benefited the waiving. So most of our, the taxes that we're supposed to pay, depending on the period, so the government had to waive the taxes that we're supposed to pay. There are those who had delayed, there are those who made it, who were able to pay. And I would say there is even one sector, few sectors that were heavily affected than others. We talk of tourism, so whereby there's been sort of suspension of for them to pay taxes because they were not employing their staff. And then there were a number of initiatives that were created. A number of organizations approached the government and worked together, and whereby they availed grants, but even SMEs clinic. I would say there is a recent program that we had whereby our members benefited. They had access to what we call business clinic. It was designed by the Women Entrepreneur Chamber and worked with UN Women, which supported the program, and it has really helped even our members to understand how do they move on, even though it's hard. Another thing which I wanted to add, the government is still very open to the SMEs. The agriculture part has been very much supported, I would say. There are some who kept on working, but others could not working. So the government came up with a plan of supporting agribusiness companies so that we boost our agriculture and even looking at export. And what we learned, there's been a lot that we learned through this crisis. We learned a number of things. Our members discovered that they had not embraced digital solutions. So it was time for us to embrace digital solutions, and the government really did so much and really communicated to telecommunication companies to reduce fees, to like waive some fees, and which has really pushed those companies to really help us even to understand. So it has really grown, and we looked at, we have to embrace digital solution in our businesses, and we have to look at collaboration. So it was even a time to, how do we work together within us? So as AWEP is part of other AWEP networks, we look at collaborating with others. And another thing is we had to learn to identify new opportunities. There are opportunities which we had not really seen before, but this pandemic has caused us to really observe and see clearly, understand where can we find other opportunities if other things are not going on so well, and whereby there are some activities that require physical presence. So we had to look at what new opportunities are we going to work on, and how are we going to start it, and so all those things. So those are the things that we were able to learn, and I would say that one thing I can call to others is to work together. As Zora said, it's time to work together. It's time to open, see, like Rwanda, we know there are certain things we have. I would say, for example, our airline has been operating, like bringing goods in different places. So as we have those services, if there are some countries that are really looking to work with us, that collaboration, and you can even access to like certain services that Rwanda can give. Even in the digital part, we've been seeing a number of initiatives being presented by young entrepreneurs, even female, trying to come up with a solution for businesses, the way we operate. So I believe we can really learn from each other and see how we can really try to grow whatever opportunity comes of business, and even see how we can make it a potential business even on the level of the continent. So that's what I can share for now. Thank you for attention. And I just remembered something that Zora shared, and I believe even every African country is working on that, as they worked on boosting the local companies. It's been the same way for us. Like as we are based here, it's been even an opportunity to really encourage those making products locally, those coming up with services locally to really improve it and not even limiting themselves. So I thank you for your attention, and it's been really a pleasure to present you my presentation.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Thank you. We will now go to our last speaker, last but not least. It's an honor and a privilege for me inviting Comfort from Ghana. Comfort, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Comfort Ajaho Jennings. My name is Comfort Ajaho Jennings, the founder and CEO of Elagwe Company Limited. It's a social enterprise established in Ghana in 1996. We are into recycle, bead jewelry, crafts, and shea butter cosmetics for exports. We've been exporting since 1999. We've been in different countries. And as a social enterprise, we have our yearly medical mission to reach out to rural communities and help them with any other thing and listen to them and support them. And those who have raw materials that we can use in our product, we also work with them. I'm also the president of AWEB West Africa region. I'll share on the before and during and where we are now of COVID. Before COVID in Ghana, a lot was happening. The government was initiated Made in Ghana product promotion that was helping both the experienced and the upcoming businesses. And almost every month or every other month, we move around the country at different regions and different places to showcase and encourage citizens to know what we have added value to. And that's also encouraged the startups to also exhibit, showcase their products, get exposure and learn from others, the experienced ones who are on the ground. And then the unexpected happened. The COVID came and everything became standstill. So immediately, one of our partners, ITC SheTrade, stepped in and with a survey to find out about our immediate needs. We all know that technology will take over, will be in charge of all that we are doing now, but we were not expecting it immediately. So we were actually not prepared for it, but it came to meet us. And so they started giving us training on how to use the technology, how to get on social media, to promote our businesses on social media, and partners who can work with us to provide any assistance that we need. Because immediately staffs are laid off and some have to work from home. Working from home is both positive and negative, because those who are not very conversant with the technology, their teenage children can help them to really catch up with what is happening. The negative side is schools were closed. And if the parents cannot afford 2 phones to use for their business and the children, and then it becomes a challenge where the child may hook onto the phone to do her homework than helping the mother to use it for the business. And those who were at home, employers were paying some of them half, some not at all. It creates a huge gap of unemployment. And the closure of borders also affected. But I think is also the positive side of that also is it's a time to take off our busy schedule and sit down and plan. Because as an entrepreneur, I don't think we give ourselves any time to plan. We don't have a leave. I've never taken some before. I don't know, because we keep going on and on and on. And so we are now on online marketing. We are getting some supports from other organizations. They are giving us remote interns who are helping us, even though it's not the same. Sometimes you feel like you needed somebody to be there to do something for you. And what the other thing the government did was to relax the penalties on taxes, and also enough time for us to be able to file our returns without a penalty. It takes away that fear of how much and where I'm going to get the money to pay. The lesson, another lesson we learned from this is business as an entrepreneur. We don't have to be consuming everything, investing every money that comes to our hands into our businesses. Because as this happens, whether you have raw materials in stock or not, you will need money at this time for other things that will support you, that will help you to plan about the next stage, especially where we are now. Because some raw materials that we get from outside are not coming. It's only the sea that is working where we can ship goods by sea. But if you are a small business, how will you get a whole container by sea? The aircraft, the cargoes that comes in, they are all chartered. It makes goods very expensive. So there's no way to promote our businesses, our products, to sell to sell at our monthly exhibitions. They are all income cut off. And so COVID, as the earlier speakers shared, is telling us that we need each other. If I succeed, you succeed. If I fail, you fail. Because we are all connected. This is the lesson I have learned from from COVID, that we need each other. We need to support each other. Our governments came up, she also intervened for SMEs to apply for funds to support their businesses. Some received, some are still waiting, especially I can speak for the AWEB members. They are still waiting for to get debts. So that is where we are. And at AWEB West Africa level, we are partnering, or AWEB as a whole, we are now looking at building partnership, a wider partnership that can help us build a capacity to be able to satisfy any product demand that may come our way. If there is a demand for textile, if we have textile sector cut across working together, we can be able to meet any demand. If we have cosmetic, we have agri business, jewelry and craft, we can work together. So I support all that, especially what Zora shared. So we are working together, and we have learned the lesson to support each other as entrepreneurs, adding value, working across the borders, and build capacity for one another. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Comfort. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and also the networks which you are leading. We have now, we're now done with the presentations of our 4 esteemed speakers. So we have half an hour nearly for questions and answers. We'll try to, I'm sure the speakers have in the questions, but I will try to raise those questions that have been raised. If we excuse me. So let me go to the questions. Dr. Yvonne has asked B, the first question: how are women business associations organizing, as Madam B said, to assure that all women will have access to growing their businesses and remain sustainable? We also have another question from Masai Rodriguez from the States. With the borders closed and limited digital connectivity, I've found it difficult to connect with both artisans and export agents. Any suggestion of cooperatives, SMEs, and others to reach out? Masai has put her contact, so, but again, her question I think can be briefly answered. Again, another question which Masai has raised, which I want to bring it together, is what was the platform that was Uberizing handicrafts? I think this is for Zora. So Zora will respond to that. We have another question from Masarat Warner, USA. Do you all think COVID-19 exacerbated the already existing disparities? I think this question might be for all the speakers. We also have another question from Rose Camus. She wants to know more about the MSEA. So Dora, she was asking your email. We already have provided, but you can give some explanations. So she's asking, what can we do to take advantage of the challenge presented by COVID-19? Every challenge can be flipped into an opportunity if viewed from another perspective. Another one, which I will stop here, then give the chance to the speakers, from Jen Mayugi. During the COVID-19, which are the main government stimulus programs that are working well in Kenya for SMEs, women in businesses, and who has anyone benefited, and where are the current gaps with the stimulus programs? This is for Zora, because the question is directed to the provisions given by the government to Kenyan SMEs, and have women in business benefited from that, and what are the current gaps with the stimulus programs? So I'll give the floor to our esteemed speakers. So we'll start with B, as you had been presenting it, then Zora will follow, Gloria will follow, and Comfort will follow. So whichever you want to respond to the questions, please go ahead, respond. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nikist. I must thank all the speakers as well for insightful inputs regarding this topic of today. First thing, I think the main one is around ICT. What is it that needs to be done? There needs to be a concerted effort around making sure that women are comfortable with technology and having the systems in place. And therefore that requires a process of a transformation process in the organization to map out what your business is all about. Secondly, identifying cooperators and complementers. By that, I mean, if I say cooperators, if you are into fashion designing, obviously people that are in the jewelry making and making of bags and all that. So you need to have a package that can be integrated, that it's a complete package that is being offered. When I say being offered, from per country and throughout the continent. I think one of the speakers made an example of saying, if we can collaborate, we'll be able to meet any demand. And therefore, I think that is very important to identify the products that are prevalent in each of the countries. That's the first thing. And therefore, look at complementary products that can be sourced across. This is the process that we're actually busy with, actually, in the Women of Africa Arise. That we've identified what each country can offer and how can we sort of collaborate and also promote intracontinental trade. Because I saw also there was another question around the Africa Trade Agreement. That has not moved as yet. However, there is something that we can do in the meantime, in line with what I'm actually saying now, of identifying what are the products that you can supply from your country and create that database. So I think for me, those are the two things that are important. Then the second one, which the last one, which I think we do overlook, when you run a business, that's one of the reasons that as Africa for Africa, we focused on leadership and promotion of entrepreneurship deliberately, because you cannot run a business if you are not strong as a leader in the leadership aspects. So it is important that as a business owner, you quite affair with issues of leadership, managing your people, being able to strategize, to map out your strategy so that you are able to be responsive. I think the COVID-19 is one typical, situation, risk that was unforeseen. And therefore it needed a strategy, somebody will be responsive. For instance, in our case, we had lined up our international conferences that we were going to do in 4 countries. But because of COVID-19, we had to think on our feet and have the Women of Africa Arise Forum, and we're able to deliver most of our work through that. On the 29th, we're having a conference. That will be our second conference. We had a successful one last month online, because we quickly changed our strategy and said, this is how we can best deliver. And that can only happen if you actually strengthen your leadership, aspect of running the business, so that you are not caught napping when things like this happen, like the COVID-19. I think for me, business management and leadership has to run parallel. And if we were to look at currently what is within the space of this trade agreement as well, there's a great emphasis on building the capacity in terms of leadership for women. So I think that's the priority areas. And this is where we can actually complement, because every organization's got strength in certain areas. And until such time that as women's organization, we can actually hone in and understand our area of strength, and we support one another and we embrace one another that way, I think we can do much for the continent. Thank you. Unmute.
Thank you, B. Are you done? Yes, thank you. I have skipped one of the questions which you raised. Thank you. It was raised exactly. How is the African Continental Free Trade Agreement being used by different women exporters during this pandemic? Is it helping all? So, except the office has been officially launched as, on how the preparations are going on, but nothing has materialized so far. So the groundwork was in process. So let's go ahead with Zora. Please get.
Thank you so much, Nigest. And also, I thank all the viewers who are watching us right now on YouTube. I'll go straight to the questions that I saw were asked. Mesha, about the platform. This is a platform which will be under Mohazo e-commerce platform. It is under construction in the US. And this is because we realized that a platform like Amazon and Alibaba, they're mostly on products which are manufactured or from those other countries. But this artisan in Africa doesn't even know where to sell their products. So that was the reason why Mohazo decided to take the challenge and help these artisans. So I have written my contacts there. If need be, then I can give you more, I can share more information. And thank you, you've given me your contact details. I'll get to you. Nancy Omondi has asked how to raise money. I can assure you that banks are really reaching out. For example, Stanbic has put in 20 billion Kenya money in trying to help the SMEs, especially women, to do business. They did not start just now, but it started from before. Barclays Bank put 10 billion so that they can be able to help women. But now the challenge has been women are not taking advantage of those initiatives. So I would ask you to follow up with those banks. And even apart from that, Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, from next week, I think there's something they're working on. You can reach to me so that I can put you through. Yayesh, I hope I pronounce it nicely, Kifle. If the government can help in those initiatives, I can say yes, because from where I sit, this ministry, especially trade and industrialization, is doing so much to see that trader makes it to the next level. And I'm talking about Kenya. Yemenzo Wak is asking, apart from the COVID-19 challenges, what are the other challenges? I can say business people have issues in terms of access to market, access to finance. As I said, the due diligence done on loans to be given are too high. Women are expected to bring collateral, and also the interest rates have been so high. I can say that back to Nancy, that we, as AWEP, we are negotiating good rates with the banks so that they can be able to give better interest rates. For example, if the interest rate is 13, we are negotiating for 10, 11%, so that we see that it is happening. We have signed some MOUs with quite a number of banks. Join AWEP and you'll enjoy that progress. There's Mesha Rad. Sorry, that one I think we have talked. There's Rose Kamau. She wanted my number. I think I've shared with her. And I also wanted to let her know that at Micro and Small Enterprises Authority, I represent women of Kenya. And I also chair this business strategy and business development committee. So I made sure that the women agenda has been factored in the strategic plan. So if you need more information, you can reach to me. I've given my contacts on the chat box. Jen Maigwa, the stimulus data that have worked in Kenya, as far as I'm concerned, they are working. And if they are not working, please reach to me, one, because you are a woman, and number two, I think you are an AWEP member. So it will be good for us to talk and see that it has been done to the latter. And then she's also asked if people have benefited. Yes, there are those who have benefited, but the problem has been those who benefit do not talk about it. And that is why, I mean, they keep quiet. As women, let's embrace each other. Let us share such information so that people know that at least there's somebody who has benefited somewhere. And then the current gap, as I've said, is that women, we don't share easily. We are supposed to share easily, whether it is information or opportunities that are out there. Because there have been cases where somebody would rather an order is taken away, but they will not share, let's say, an opportunity to even supply. And lastly, there's somebody who talked about the global banks. I can say that global banks are reaching out, and recently there was a tour of some venture capitalists and banks who came to Kenya. They went to Rwanda, Zambia, Botswana, and some countries. And I think there is a lot of progress for people to access loans at very good rates, other than the current rates we are going through. And before I finish, what I can say is that as women organizations of Kenya, we are trying to see if we can all come up as one association so that we can have a voice to address when anything comes to, when it comes to addressing women issues. I think that is all I can say for now. And I forgot to say some other stimulus opportunities is that take advantage of opportunities such as the one Madam Comfort has just mentioned, the SME Crisis Management Toolkit, which was made by SheTrade's Commonwealth. And then we also have 50 women speak. It's an initiative to empower women, and there is much going around it. People, I mean, you should take advantage of such initiatives. And lastly, I think you should embrace guidelines for business operations during and after COVID-19. Those documents are available, and Madam Nigest, if you need us to share with you, they're already out there. We can share so that everybody, not just in Kenya, can benefit, but even other countries that have not documented those documents. Back to you. Nigest, back to you.
Thank you, Zora. Thank you so much. You will give us the links to those which you mentioned, so that we will put it as part of the proceedings, so that participants who have taken part can benefit from that, and also distribute that to their networks. On the 50 million, that's the 50 million Women Speak initiative. It's a COMESA initiative, but it can be helpful to many of our women in business. Last but not least, Comfort, please take the floor and try to respond some of the questions. And if you have also some information related, since the new office is based in Accra, the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, the Free Trade Office is I think, was officially launched this month. So if there is any information you can tell us also on that, you're most welcome. Comfort.
Thank you very much, Nigest. What I want to share, there's a question here asking, what are the challenges faced by SME in general, apart from COVID? Challenges whether they are owned by women or men. Please let me get information on challenges from policy aspects, access to finance, and others. I think Zora and other speakers have shared a lot on finance, access to finance, and other links of government support in Kenya. And I think the other thing we can do, if those are not open in other countries, what you can do is to join an association, because that is where your voice can be heard. Because if you are just an individual, you will be struggling and nobody will be able to hear you. So I think you should join an association, especially in any of the countries that you might be asking this question. AWEB is in 44 African countries. Try and send an email to AWEB Africa and with the name of your country, and we will link you up to a chapter where you can have access to the members, the leaders, and collectively we can be able to, because we all share a common challenge, but we cannot solve it individually. So it's better we come together and build a capacity for each other and add value. We have so much in Africa. We are not supposed to be struggling. If we should come together, we'll be able to add value and even trade amongst ourselves. Every country has something that the other doesn't have, just like us as citizens. We have something in Ghana that is not in Addis. Addis have something that we don't have. We have coffee in Ghana, but you cannot challenge that with the one we have in Addis. But Addis will be interested to share ideas of how, I mean, the good quality of coffees in Addis, because they are ahead. So we have a lot to share. Let's come out of our shelves and open up. I mean, the market is huge and no one person can satisfy it. So whatever will come to you, you will get it. So if you share, doesn't mean that your share is being taken away from you. So let's open up, let's share. I mean, those who are starting, they should approach the experienced ones. And the experienced one, when the startups approach you, please open up and share with them. And so that we can carry them along. Because if you are 40 years, 30 years, 20 years and above experience, you are not going to be there forever. So it is our duty to be able to give back by bringing along those who are still struggling to get on their feet and to even step into entrepreneurship of how and when. I mean, all those questions, let's carry them along because we are the heart of the economy. So we need each other. Let's support each other. Thank you.
Thank you, Comfort. Great message. I sincerely apologize. I've skipped Gloria. So Gloria, you have also some questions which that are asked, and also you want to provide a brief note or information on the African Continental Free Trade Agreement. So please, Gloria.
Yes, thank you. I think I saw one question. Someone asked what kind of method young entrepreneurs are in terms of digital solutions. Some of our young entrepreneurs are coming up with solutions whereby, like they're coming up with applications that should be used, especially for the e-commerce. Recently, due to the fact that we've been encouraged to make our payments digitally, not everyone has a debit card, a credit card. So we've been sort of using mobile solutions for payment. So there's one entrepreneur who came up with an application to help us like ease the payments, and it makes it easier, it makes it smooth. And another thing, looking at the market that we are in, some entrepreneurs came up, like we have one of our members who came up with the service of selling online, but applying to specific needs, not every need, but specific needs, and looking at how the products will be delivered to the clients. So there's been a way of like, okay, for us, for Rwanda, we had to sort of use our language, and because we speak most how do we address the message, and how do we help out and everything. So there are some who are coming up with applications so that the services that are needed are known, and so that we know how to come up with new products, things like that. So, and as we embrace the digital solutions, so we need to come up with different approaches. So, but if you want to know more, please get in touch with me. I already gave my contacts. Another thing which I just wanted to say is related to the FCTA, the African Free Trade Agreement, which was signed here in Rwanda. we are like less than 6 months to the implementation. So the question, one of my sisters who raised that, I think it's really high time to really come together and sort of learn and even get in touch with those who have informations, and even look ways of how do we introduce it to our members, to the women entrepreneurs. Important that women entrepreneurs know the advantages that they'll benefit from the FCTA, and even knowing how they would position themselves in this coming trade agreement that will be implemented. So, and another thing which I really want to really call upon others is to involve the youth. Young people are coming up with really brilliant ideas. I'm from a country that really supports the youth very much, and we really have them on board, and we have an ear for them, and so that they come up with approaches that will really help us to make things go better in our businesses, but even just growing our network. That's what I just wanted to share, and thank you again for this opportunity.
Thank you very much. I think we're nearly reaching our time. Comfort was informing us on the AWEP Pan-Africa 10th year celebration. So in November 2020, AWEP will celebrate its 10th year. And AWEP, the Pan-African AWEP, is inviting women entrepreneurs, especially young entrepreneurs, to join. So the emails are there, and we'll share you the emails. Whoever is interested to take part in the November celebration, you're most welcome. Thank you very much again. All the questions asked might not be answered fully. So as I said it earlier, we will make sure that we go back to our speakers with all the questions and have full responses to all the questions asked, and put that on as part of our proceedings and send that to you all. So we will finish this webinar, and next month, as we are continuing on our series, we will have our third webinar focusing on the theme, how businesses can get noticed online and effectively boost sales and expand their reach during the COVID-19 pandemic, which is an important theme of the time. So, which is planned in October 2020. We will send you the detailed information on that soon. So you are all invited to attend, to take part on our upcoming third webinar. Finally, in closing this webinar, I would like to sincerely thank our esteemed speakers, very great friends, valued people. So you really have shared us your company's experiences as well as your network's experiences, which had been very interesting. I'm sure all participants have enjoyed it from the message that I was reading from the chat box. I also thank our valued participants. We had diverse participation from different continents. From Africa, within Africa, different countries have taken part. We also had participants from North America, USA, Canada. We're glad that you all have joined us. Thank you very much for taking part at this webinar. I would like also to thank our organizing team, very efficient in organizing this, the Africa 118 team, offices both based in Addis Ababa and Nairobi, and also the Kawe team, who had been very instrumental for the success of this webinar. Last but not least, I would like to sincerely thank our supporter of those series of webinars where we had been financially supported by CEDA, the Swedish International Development Agency, and the coordinator of this program, Initiative Africa. I sincerely thank those organizations. Thank you very much again. Hope to see you on our third webinar in October 22, 2020. Thank you so much. Good night for those in Africa and good day for those in North America. Thank you so much.